What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Muscle Memory. My name is Malcolm, and today we're talking to a star of the NWA. Right before NWA 74 on Fight TV, he's the biggest, he's the strongest. It's Mimms. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man?
How are you, dude? Like, how's life going right before this big pay-per-view?
Man, it's going pretty well. I'm feeling bigger and stronger than ever, and I'm ready to get back in this ring. I'm ready to get going. Life outside of wrestling is the worst. I need just life in wrestling. That's what I want to do every day, all day, 24/7.
Hell yeah, man. And you have a really big opponent coming up too on night one of NWA 74 against EC3. And something that's really great about watching you in NWA is the connection you have with the audience. Because you've been there since day one of Power. And to see the connection you have with the audience, you have almost the same level crowd reaction as a Matt Cardona, a Trevor Murdoch, a Nick Aldis, these guys that come from these giant platforms. How do you think you develop this connection and relationship with the NWA audience?
Honestly, I just think it's relatable. Everybody knows the guy that's like me, and that personality that you see out there, that's really me. So that's why every single tag that I have on everything, all my social medias, all the stuff like that is really Mims, because when I'm in that ring, when I'm outside that ring, it's still really me. It's always the exact same person. It's still Matthew Mimms. You always get Matthew Mimms. And so it's the same thing whenever I'm in front of these fans. It's the same thing when I'm not in front of these fans. And people can see it. They can see it, they can feel it, and they like a genuine nature to their guys. I mean, hey, that's why everybody likes Eddie Kingston, right? Because he feels like a real ass dude. That's probably really him. When those cameras go off, he's the exact same person. And I can kind of attest to that, being in the same locker room as him during those first couple seasons of NWA Power. That was really Eddie. That was really that guy. Me and him are not that close. Yeah. We had a few conversations here and there, nothing too much, not really chopping it up like crazy. That's exactly how that dude is whenever he was backstage. Exactly how he is in front of the camera.
Wow. I mean, I'm not that surprised. Eddie Kingston, he's a pretty intense looking dude, so I can't say I'm too surprised to hear that. But going into this big pay-per-view, NWA 74, night one, you're taking on EC3. It's kind of in a promotional brand warfare. It's NWA versus CYN. How do you approach this match going against someone as a former TNA World Champion? How do you think that you can go in and beat this guy?
Well, I mean, hey, he's not the first former TNA World Champion that I've fought. He's not the first former world champion that I've been in the ring with or shared a locker room with. It's something that, I take seriously. I take all my wrestling seriously, because professional wrestling is a serious business, and you got to take yourself serious there. So at the end of the day, I'm happy for the opportunity to test my skills, especially coming back off of an injury. So usually most people, when they come back off of an injury, they want a cake match. They want to make for sure they look good. They want to have their biggest and best debut possible. They don't want to really challenge themselves. They want to go for slow going. No, I'd rather hit the ground running, put them boots on the ground, and put it right up somebody's ass. And what better ass to put it up than EC3? What better ass?
Exactly. The best. And you really are not having a tune-up fight at all. You're really going there and facing this top tier contender of a guy. I mean, he's been everywhere and anywhere. So when we talk about the match, you're in the midst of it, how do you finish him off? What's the finish gonna look like?
I mean, of course, you know how it always goes. It's gonna be the same as every other match. I plan to finish him off with a big strong slam. If anything, if the big strong slam is not what you see, it's just finding my way to win whatever fight that I'm in, no matter what. I have to find a way. It's not always the big strong slam. That's what I go for first. That's my bread and butter. That's what I know. But let's say I have to beat this man with a roll-up. Maybe it's some sort of drop toe hold into a pile of Legos, and that man just don't get up afterwards. It could be, the spinny flippy do 500 off the top rope with Kung Fu action grip 5,000. You never know what it could be. It might also be a new move. It might be something new that I learned during this time off, because, I didn't just sit here and sit on my thumbs and do nothing while I was recovering from the concussion, from the shoulder injury. I was still making for sure that I was learning new things. I was studying film. I was making for sure I got myself back in the gym, got in better shape so I could come back looking better, feeling better, and thinking better when I get in that ring. So it could be anything. Again, tried and true. Big strong slam, that's what's usually going to happen. But you never know what you may see.
I mean, that's what I think is gonna happen. I'm pretty sure you're gonna get that W. And I'm excited to see it. It's gonna be great. Me on Fight TV as well. But I want to talk about like, coming back from like this injury because like it was insane. Like I saw when it happened, it was just like crazy to see like this happen to you. It was a busted elbow, dislocated shoulder, and concussion. I know in other interviews you say your favorite return to wrestling was Triple H in 2002, and seeing him come back and how like unglued the arena was and whatnot. How does like what's like the mind process going into like that desire of wanting to get back into the ring when you're on the shelf?
Honestly, it was something that, you know, it surprised me in the match just because I've definitely been hit a lot harder than that. And then also having the dislocation of the shoulder right after that kind of just compounded everything. But it's an injury that was long going. I mean, I came out there already taped up in the first place. So it wasn't like I didn't know something might possibly happen, that there is a risk to going into that match knowing that I'm hurt. I mean, like on the road or just in wrestling in general, you get hurt. Getting hurt is a guarantee. Getting injured is a possibility. That's just how it works in professional wrestling. It's not ballet. It's a hard sport to be able to do, especially as many times as most people want to do it, sometimes on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. Still, doesn't matter how many times you do it, it's still something that's always risky when you get into it. And so with the concussion, it surprised me because I've been doing sports for a long time in my life. I've been hit way harder than that. Yeah. Way harder. And I've never had the displeasure to have a concussion before. So that'd be my very first one from something that felt like it was just a transitional move. All I did was just fall. I just fell from a better height than normal, but yeah, I just fell. I mean, I've taken superplexes, I've done crossbodies at the top, I've done all types of crazy stuff, but something so silly like that, and then boom, oh, you got a concussion. I wasn't even knocked out. I just rolled right back up, and I was like, oh, yeah. Well, it was pretty loud a second ago. Why is it so quiet right now? Why can't I hear anything? Ooh. I can only hear my thoughts. I can't hear anybody else. What's going on? It sounds like somebody has their hands over my ears. And so it was definitely something that I was glad that my instincts like kicked in because I was so early on in the match. I was within the first like 3 minutes of the match. Oh, wow. And so carry on for the rest of the match, like still like feel like I was on autopilot and still just kind of moving and going with it. My instincts being so good from the great training that I've had at the Tried and True Academy. It was kind of surreal to be able to, I mean, I felt like a backseat driver at that point. I was not in control of what I was doing. It was just happening. I didn't really have any idea what to do about it. I was just like, I think I'm probably a little bit hurt. Well, I just keep moving and I'm not doing anything about it. I'm not moving my hands. They're just moving themselves. But to the return aspect, I'm really excited to return. I'm a little nervous. I think I feel the same way Triple H did at that same time, where he was just not expecting the kind of reaction that he got. And, you know, hopefully I get that same sort of reaction. If not, it's not something that hurts my feelings. I mean, hey, I wasn't there for the whole season of season 9, this past season that's going to conclude, or already did, because we're already past Tuesday. I wasn't there for the whole season. It's the first season of NWA Power that I've actually missed. So it wouldn't be a big surprise if people kind of, you know, forgot about your boy. I would hope not. But, you know, times change. People move on. You never know. But, hey, if I walk out and they react the way I want them to, I might just cry a little bit. You know, maybe, you know, man tears, you know, hold them on the inside.
Yeah. Dog tears.
Yeah, exactly. Big dog. Yeah. Man tears on the inside. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm kind of getting that same moment that, again, like you've heard in those interviews, it's something that's molded my career. It's something that made me decide, hey, this is what I want to do for a living. So getting that same type of reaction would kind of show me that, like, hey, you're on the right path. You know, mission accomplished. You're pretty much like, you know, exactly where you could be mentally in a really great place to kind of get that same honor that Triple H got coming back. And so it'd be great to have that from the same audience. But again, the main focus is not getting a pop. It's not getting a reaction, anything that anybody wants to say. The main focus is coming in and winning that match, starting off the debut well, returning with a W. Biggest concern of the night.
Yeah, and I'm sure it'll happen. I think that people definitely have not forgotten you, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. But I want to talk about like one of your last matches before, like, unfortunately the injury happened, was at Alwayz Ready with Tyrus. And like right now he kind of went up the card, I guess, and now is in the main event for the World Championship. And unfortunately, like when you challenged him for the NWA television title, it didn't go your way. But is that something that you still have like your mind set on, like coming back and getting that championship?
Well, yes, definitely. I mean, if anything, I felt like the TV title is destined to be mine. I had that idea in my head for a long time. That's something I want to do ever since I saw it come back, and it was around the waist of Ricky Starks. Yeah. And that was something that I always wanted, and it's one of my favorite titles in professional wrestling. And I usually am not the type of person to say that. Not like there's a type of person that says that, but I'm usually not the person that's just like, oh yeah, this is my absolute favorite title of all time. I think most titles look pretty good. There's not really too many ugly looking titles to me, but one of my favorites is definitely the television title. So that's something that's still in my mind that I want to be able to accomplish and say that, hey, I was an NWA television champion. But also it's not surprising that Tyrus moved up on the card. I mean, he's a monster. And that's before, me get my brains rattled on accident or on purpose, whatever he decides to say. It's still, you understand how big of a scale this man is. In the NWA, he is a giant. And this is not a promotion where we have a lot of smaller guys. And this is no disrespect, but you could compare our roster size to AEW size, and almost everybody on our roster is towering over most of the guys there. I even specifically during StarCast in Nashville, I actually seen some of the AEW talent, and still for some of those people, like they're a bit on the smaller side for majority of them. So it's to see Tyrus at the top of that is an even bigger indicator of exactly the kind of caliber that you're dealing with. So it's not surprising that he would go up to, the World Championship, especially because if I remember correctly, I think I was his 7th defense. Yeah, so he could be dropping that title soon. But, my eyes aren't just set on getting the TV title. It's not just that. It's also making for sure that I can have that rematch with Tyrus. This is a match that I feel like I could win. This is a match that I felt like even with going down to one arm and barely knowing what was going on, I still had a fair chance. At least in my mind, it felt like a fair chance because I could still get up and I could still fight. Sure. So it's something that I feel like I could still achieve, is beating Tyrus, is winning the television championship. I mean, hey, I'm not exactly clairvoyant. I'm not exactly saying I can see the future, but I think there's some 10 pounds of gold that may be in my future too. And if it happens to come off of Tyrus, I just think that would be poetic. That would just be poetic justice. Let your boy have a little bit of poetic justice. It can't just be a movie. It can be a real thing too.
For sure, man. And I had a follow up on Tyrus, but I want to ask this question very quickly. You mentioned before, the NWA has a really big roster, and that's something I want to bring up as well. Is that a lot of guys on the NWA roster are significantly bigger. I got a chance to interview Tyrus at Alwayz Ready, and he's a much bigger person than I ever expected in person. And so, what do you think makes the NWA different compared to other wrestling companies as far as roster and television product?
I think it's obviously the presentation. We go for a different feel for it, and I think that's what Billy has always preached since the beginning, is that he wants it to be different. You don't want to have a wrestling product that's the same as everything else, because why would they come to you? Especially for us, since we are a smaller promotion, even though we're one of the oldest promotions in the United States, we're still a smaller one. We're still a major promotion. We still put out great product, and we're working with some of the biggest stars in the world, but we still have to be different. We still have to cater to our audience. We still have to give everybody a different feel. We can't just be WWE light. We just can't be ROH light. We can't be AEW light. We have to be NWA, and that's all we can be. And that's the same way that I feel about myself or any other person that are in that locker room or on that roster. Is they don't try to be like this WWE star, this AEW wrestler, this ROH wrestler, this Impact wrestler. Nobody's trying to be them. They're trying to be themselves, but as the NWA star. Even for the former WWE guys, the former Impact guys, these are people who are not being, I want to be Impact Pope. I want to be WWE Elijah Burke. No. This is NWA Pope. This is a completely different person. This is somebody who's coming in a different style. We're all bringing a different field of professional wrestling with this company, and that just kind of shows that leadership that Billy has to kind of make us all understand that we have to be different. And I think that's why we have the fans that we do, and why we're going to continue to gain more. We're only on an upward trajectory. This is kind of how this works, by being different. People like things that are different. You don't want the same thing every day.
No, for sure. It's like leg day. You gotta skip it every now and then. You can't do the same thing.
Exactly.
No, screw that. It's not fun. But back to Tyrus really quickly. What's your prediction on him winning the world title? Does he win it? Does he lose it? What's your thoughts on it?
I mean, me personally, I know exactly how great of a competitor that Trevor Murdoch is, from being a fan and watching him growing up, and then also being able to share the locker room with him. He's not going to have an easy match at all, either one of them, just because, I mean, one, they're both giants.
Yeah.
I mean, Trevor is all of 6'5". He is like pushing 300 plus pounds. The man is a monster too. These are all monstrous men. That's kind of how this works. But you also have to talk about the fact that they know each other so well. I mean, Tyrus always likes to make the joke that they're cousins or whatnot, but they've been around each other in the business forever, so they kind of know each other's tricks in and out. Yeah. So this is not an easy match for either one of them, and honestly, it's a big toss-up on who it could possibly be. I could say I could be biased and be like, well, since he beat me, he's got to win that world championship, but I also have seen Trevor beat Nick Aldis, which is something that not a lot of people can say. I personally can't say it. That man whooped my ass, so I can't exactly say, that anybody's going to be a cakewalk here. Yeah. So if I gotta choose, my money's on Trevor. I mean, he's a two-time world champion, bro.
I'm just fair.
It's one thing to never taste it and try to come up and take it, but it's another thing to already have it and know how to defend it well. And that's one thing I can give to Tyrus. But right now, you're on the chase. You're not in a situation where you're holding the title and you got nothing to lose. Well, not that you have nothing to lose, but you understand you have everything to lose, and that you're going to go to much more lengths to make sure you keep that. He's not at that point anymore. Yeah. Whenever I was in that situation and he was at that point, it was a completely different conversation where there's a lot more confidence there. But I got to give it to Trevor. It's champion's advantage in general, always. And plus, I've seen that man win in that same building. I've seen that crowd become unglued. I've seen how hard he's worked for that. There is no way he's giving that up easy. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think Tyrus is gonna do it.
Ooh, okay. I like the energy. At least you said it. You could have just said like it could be anybody, but you went for it. I respect it. But
hey, I gotta have a little honesty, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, oh, for sure. I want to play a little game with you, Mimss. It's called Muscle Memory. Obviously, that's the name of the show. Apparently, you were a powerlifter back in the day. Still maybe are. I don't know if you're still in the gym like that lifting. You still
of course. I still train. I still make sure that I train.
I'm with that. I like the energy. But I'm also a powerlifter as well. So I had a few different powerlifting-based questions I wanted to ask you to test your weightlifting knowledge. So the first question is, how much does a barbell plus 3 plates on both sides equal?
That's 315.
Ding. I like that. All right, so next up, how much does a leg press with 7 plates on both sides, so 14 total, equal?
Oh, that's actually a really good question because I never go that low.
That low.
Now you're making me guess right now because now I got to think about it. I got to be like, just do quick math. I am just gonna throw a number out there.
Okay.
So throw a number out there. All Let's go with like, I don't know, like let's say like 650. I'm just gonna throw it.
You're so close to 630. I'll give it to you anyway. You're right there. You're right there.
I knew I was off by like a few numbers. I was like, yeah, I know it's in the 600s, but
this man said it. This man, I don't go that low. What's your max on the leg press, or like what are you repping usually?
The last time I was able to load up the machine that had enough weight to go to the max. This is not a humble brag. It was some gym that was on the post that's close to here. Yeah. So I live near an army base. The army base that's close to me is Fort Campbell. So we used to back in the day, we used to kind of sneak into the gym and work out a little bit. And so I think the most that we got to get on that leg press was about. And we had to ghetto rig it. We had to like hang some stuff on there with some like resistance bands or something like that. I think it was probably like 1685. Oh, that was the most we can get on there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm sorry for giving you a number that low. Jesus. And for the last question, what's your powerlifting total? So, what's like your max squat, your max bench, max deadlift?
Let's see. So the last time I really tried to go extremely hard at it, my bench press was 455. Oof. My squat was about I I wouldn't know if that would be considered cheat. No, that wasn't in competition. I was gonna say 555, but that wasn't in competition. I did not. I feel like I didn't really go down all the way. You know, some people like to cheat it a little bit when they're going kind of high. So I'd say 505. 505 was the last one I did that I had recorded. That we're all the way down.
Okay.
We're all the way up, and
That's
we're
parallel.
For deadlift, I'm not the biggest deadlift person. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. So the last time I really did deadlift, it was like 565.
Still
That
good.
was like, yeah. It's just I'm terrible with grip. I guess like it's something with overtraining to where my grip is just absolutely terrible. But
Fair enough.
who thinks overtraining is real?
Nah,
But,
doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. But
yeah.
as we wrap this up, man, I want to talk about a relationship with Billy Corgan, because obviously everyone in NWA, you obviously worked with Billy Corgan. You got to talk to him at some point, and you don't really hear that many things said that about Billy Corgan that often. So, what's the relationship with you with Billy Corgan, and maybe like the NWA locker room, like the overall morale with him?
I would say a lot of people really like Billy, and they like Billy kind of holding the reins to this. It's something that's very different. A lot of people don't say that he's anywhere close to any other boss they've had before in professional wrestling. He's definitely like his own unique character, on screen and off screen. And I would say my personal relationship with Billy is actually pretty good. I mean, obviously, I mean, look who I'm wrestling. Because if anything, he could have just, just stuck me off the show. He could have stuck me with somebody else who wasn't as big of a name, but this is somebody who's trusting me to go out there and have a great match and try to bring home that W in a return match, the biggest return match I could possibly have on that card besides fighting for one of the titles. So we do share a very common vision of professional wrestling. Like, everybody has their own specific vision of it, but at least for a general idea and a general understanding, we have a very similar idea and outview on what professional wrestling is, what it should be. I mean, obviously that's why I'm on the show. And that's why I chose to be here, because by all means you can get requested to be on NWA all the time. That doesn't mean you're going to be there, but it's something that I believe in. It's a product that I believe in, and I believe in what Billy has in store for the NWA, and there's a long plan for it. I think before he said it was like, what, a 20-year plan that he had for the company?
Like
and I believe that plan could actually work just from the parts of it that I've been able to see myself. So there's a lot of trust that's built up there, obviously, on both sides. And then for the rest of the locker room, they do trust Billy with being taken care of. Obviously, if they didn't like it, they'd leave. Let's believe that. I mean, that's how you got to be frank about it. When it comes to any company, people are usually going to either speak out or they're going to leave. There's not way too many people that you see on our roster going and saying, "Oh, well, this NWA stuff, Billy, I can't believe this guy." You don't have a ton of people jumping up and saying that about Billy, either currently working or either people that are past employees. You don't have a ton of that going on. And I mean, in the wrestling news, bro, you see people complain all the time. Not that it's a problem. Hey, I understand it's human nature. It feels great to complain. I love complaining myself. This is a little bit too warm in this apartment right now. I hate this. I wanted to be a little bit colder. This is weird. I had to get up today. Why couldn't I just sleep in? All types of complaints that feel great. But when it comes to overall morale, the locker room and the roster is pretty great. Everybody really gets along with each other. There's not a lot of cliques or anything like that. It's not exactly that same locker room culture that you usually hear those negative comments about throughout a lot of different interviews. Overall, I'm not somebody who says this. I always hate when people say this about any company they work for, any job that it is. Oh, we're a family. Bro, we ain't family. Don't tell me we're a family. This is the closest thing I could probably say to, oh yeah, this is a family. And I can actually really believe it when somebody says that.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
And to wrap this all up, I want to talk about your goals. Like, if it's in NWA or even outside NWA, do you see yourself as like a lifer for the company, or do you see yourself like one day maybe moving up to one of those like WWE, AEW levels, or what do you see yourself doing within the NWA that you want to happen or make happen very soon?
Obviously the next two goals would be to be the World Television Champion, see what I can possibly do to better that title, leave it better than when I came in and got that title. And then obviously the World Championship is something that's been on my mind a lot, and that's something that I wanted to be able to gain myself. Those are my two biggest goals within the NWA. I mean, even getting those tag titles. I love tag team wrestling. It's been one of my favorite parts of professional wrestling for a long time. Since I've been a fan, I've loved tag team wrestling. And so I want to be able to win those tag team titles. And that'd be cool if I could win it with one of my heroes or one of the people that I watched and loved to see on television when I was a kid. And there's just happens to be abundance of that in the NWA, which is a great thing. Do I see myself as an NWA lifer? By all means, I definitely could be. I want to grow with this company, and I want to be able to be one of the cornerstones of what makes it great and why people come to it. I want to be somebody who's synonymous with it. You know, Jay Lethal is synonymous with ROH. And, you know, let's say Triple H is synonymous with WWE, or even, let's say, Hangman Adam Page is synonymous with AEW. You have those people that you see this person, you automatically think that company. I want to be one of those same people. I mean, because I feel that way about, let's say, Nick Aldis. I want to be in that same conversation. So I want to be the kind of poster boy for the company. Could things happen outside of NWA? Yes, possibly. I can't exactly predict the future and how exactly Matthew Mimms will act in the future. But by all means, my current plan is just NWA focused. There is not anything else outside of NWA that I am hardcore focused on when it comes to the major companies. I got to keep my focus here because you can only get the best out of somebody who's absolutely focused.
I love that. Great answer. Great answer. Mimms, this has been great. Where can they find you on social media?
Everywhere, on everything. It is always really _Mimms. If it's not saying that, it's probably not me. It's probably not really me. There you go.
I love it. I love it. Dude, good luck this weekend against EC3. You probably don't even need the luck. You're probably just going to get the W anyway. But guys, if you want to watch NWA 74, it's going to be on Fight TV. Links in the description down below. This has been Mimms, Muscle Memory, and we're out.
We going up like 1,000. I'ma flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. We going up like 1,000. I'ma flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. When it just like 1, 2, 3. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel.